Hey people. So this is a little recording. I was gonna do a video, but the lighting's like really terrible right now, and I'd really rather not record myself because I look like a freaking potato. So we're not gonna do that today. Today I'm just gonna talk about my opinions about any random thing and hope that you agree in the comments, because I'd really like to hear you guys comment, and hopefully you'll agree with it. So yeah. First, I'm going to talk about my parents, and then I'm going to talk about a lot of personal things in my personal life, that personally affected me. So one thing, I think this might be a things parents do that I don't like, or my parents personally. I'm not sure if you guys will be able to relate to this, but I'm sure maybe. Although I kind of feel alone in this. I feel like all other parents are perfect, and other kids of parents are perfect, and their siblings are perfect, and that you guys have like perfect lives and perfect families, and that you always listen to your parents, and that I can always only be like, I don't know, like I feel like I'm the only person who goes through this kind of thing, and that no one else does, especially being 20 years old, still living in your parents' house. So one thing is that I don't think that this house in particular is my house. Like, I don't feel like this house belongs to me. I don't feel like I belong here. I feel unwanted. Like, I know my parents don't say that, but what they show with their actions, it says otherwise, It just kind of contradicts it and stuff, so, yeah. Because I grew up in another town where I'm from. I grew up in this cute little town. It was all cute and adorable. Very accepting of the LGBTQ community. This town, not so much. I haven't seen a single rainbow flag. Only in Metuchen. Not here. So, by the way, I want to move there too. Once I can kind of pick stuff up, I'm sure I can find a nice rental apartment or something. But I wouldn't want to rush into things too much. Anyways, getting off topic. So the main thing is that I grew up in a nice little house, on a street called Dorsey Place. It was the best house in the world. It had a basement, it had rooms, it had a hallway, it had a kitchen, a basement. And through the years, things got renovated and certain things were taken out. I remember the bathroom got renovated, and then the kitchen got renovated, the basement got renovated, because before it was like this whole just like normal, typical ghost-like basement, and then it turned into an actual other room and had a futon, but we were jumping on it and we broke it, so there's that. And then there was like the living room, like right outside the den, in front of the front entrance of the house. I would just go in that little point, and I would call it my little dance floor, and I would like dance there all the time and spin balloons and stuff and just start spinning in circles and stuff. And I really liked doing that. That was really fun. So anyways, the main point of the topic is that I miss that house like hell. Like, I miss it so much. I wish that I could have stayed there for the rest of my life. And then when I would have moved out, I would have been nostalgic but happy. It would have been like a bittersweet moment instead of just plain old bitter. Well, for me, it is kind of sweet because, yeah. I do feel like that house has a lot of memories that I shared in that house, and a lot of feelings that it invoked in that house, and there were so many TV shows that I got into in that house, and so many things I looked up on the internet in that house, and books I read, and places I learned about specifically in that house, and I miss it so much, and I wish that we didn't have to leave. But when I was entering high school, we either had to stay there and I go to a dangerous high school and drop out and get pregnant, or I go to a safer high school and a safer neighborhood. So, I mean, the neighborhood that I lived in was pretty, it was pretty safe. It was very quiet and safe and quiet. But, the other neighborhoods that were, like, a couple miles away, they weren't safe at all. So I had to move. And then the high schools there were just, like, terrible. Like, the one particular high school, it was just downright terrible. Don't you turn off. It was terrible. Sorry, the screen got dark and I had to turn it on again. So, another thing is that I feel like emotionally, this is the main thing for me is emotions. The main thing, I just feel like I'm not valued. like, at all. I'm pretty sure I'm going to start crying at some point in this video, by the way. So if you hear my voice and I'm crying, that's why. But I feel like emotionally I'm not valued. Like, my parents say that they emotionally value me and that I'm free to say whatever I want. But the thing is, I'm free to say whatever I want, but it's not going to change anything. Like, for me, when I voice my concerns and voice my opinions towards things, my main goal is to have some kind of change going on. But then when no change happens, I stop voicing my concerns. And then my parents are like, why don't you ever talk to me anymore? I'm like, that's why. Like, I don't know why you're so confused. You just shut me down when I try to voice my concerns. You yell over me and you try to say, oh, you're doing it from your perspective. I'm like, no, it's from a main perspective. By definition, that's what that is. Like, for example, okay, so I'm going to get a little personal. We had a CMO worker come in today. Because, yeah, I'm going to start talking about my entire personal life, put it all out there, and not even care who sees it. Because I really don't care at this point. I'm just like, I don't care. I'm done pretending to care. I will get into the not caring thing later on. Anyways, getting off topic again. So, we had a CMO worker come in. We got to call her Amy. And Amy evaluated my family, and she asked us questions and things like that. And then she asked me what were traumatic experiences for me, like, as in for me personally. I'm about to get mad, by the way, so if you hear me yelling and I get all, you might want to turn your volume down. I'm really sorry for that, but I could edit it to make the volume go down. But, she asked me 2 traumatic experiences. I'm not going to get too far into them, but what I said was, one was when I was inappropriately touched by someone at college, and then the 2 was 3 years ago when I was physically restrained at a mental hospital for hitting someone in the back, a staff member. So yeah, I mentioned those 2 things, and then, ow, my foot is killing me. So I mentioned those 2 things, and then we kind of started talking about other things and evaluating other things. Mind you, she, oh my God, I can't talk. She said, what traumatizing things happened to you? Like, what 2 things or 3 things happened to you that were traumatizing? Did you go through any traumatizing, like she said, did you go through any traumatizing experiences? As in she was talking to me and not to both of my parents who were sitting either side of me. So then my dad, he says, oh, speaking of traumatizing experiences, and then he proceeds to talk about his traumatizing experience, which I can't even believe he would talk about that and bring that up. Because, like, I don't know how they do it, but both my parents always take something that has to do with me and me solely and somehow intelligently manage to twist it around and make it about them. How they do that, I don't know. It's incredibly intelligent as a form of dialogue. It's just incredibly intelligent and incredibly manipulative and incredibly just, oh my God, like, I can't. So he talked about the incident where my mom had this charger, because I didn't have my charger before, and I do now, but I'm not going to get too far into that. But my mom asked for her charger back. I was half asleep. I had just, like, it was like the moment when I was like falling into sleep. So when I was woken up out of that, when she yelled up the stairs, she likes to call it raising her voice, by the way. So when she kind of came out of, like, when she yelled up at me, I kind of just, like, startled out of it. And I was really, really upset because I usually have trouble falling asleep. My parents beg to differ, but I don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what it's like to have sleep problems, because I do. They think it's because I'm on my phone all the time, but I didn't have a phone when I was 5 and 6 years old. I didn't have a phone when I was 12. And the one that I did have when I was 13 was, like, from, like, the last century. It was a little flip phone thing. You know, it was 2012, so. I was really mad about that. I was just, like, really, like, pissed off. And so then what I did was, like, I'm just like, you know what? I'm not giving it to you. I don't need this right now. I'm going back to sleep. I'm just like, I'm not going to get into this. If you want to come in my room and take it, come on up here and take it. I'm too freaking tired. I'm not getting up. So that's what I did. I hid under my bed and I didn't say anything. I was just like, whatever. And then my dad decides to get into the situation because apparently if he comes in, things get way more intimidating. He intimidates me that way, but I'm not going to let him know about that. I'm pretty sure he can hear me because the vents are, like, really close to his room because his room is right under mine, so I'm sure they can hear me. Also, it is 10:09 at night, which I don't really care, but I'm just going to keep talking. I'm sure they can hear me. They're going to tell me to be quiet at some point, but I'm going to edit that out. Anyways, so my dad comes up. He tries to be all intimidating because apparently when one parent doesn't work, you just use the other parent and then it'll work. It didn't for me because I'm just like, I don't care. It's kind of like out of rebellion, I guess. I was a teenager back then. Still am, but, like, mentally, like, I kind of still have a teenager mentality, which I don't really mind because I don't want to grow up. Like, mentally, I don't want to grow up. I don't want to do that. Anyways, doesn't matter. Okay, sorry, getting off topic again. See, this is what happens when you have ADHD. You get off topic, like, all the time. Anyways, so, my dad comes up, and then we just start yelling back and forth. I don't really remember what it was about, because usually when I'm, like, really heated and mad, I don't always remember what exactly we were saying. Like, I remember the words and, like, the tone of voice, but I don't always remember exactly what it was. So, then I just grabbed the charger and I shoved it in his hands. And I remember at some point I asked, oh, because I did so-and-so, I'm not allowed to feel this way or whatever, something like that. And he goes, yes. And then I was just like, you know what, just forget you. I don't want to be around you right now. So I slammed the door in his face. Like, I wasn't really close to his face. But, I slammed the door in his face. And I turned to go back to my bed because I wanted to just go under my covers and wish the world away. So I did that. Well, okay, no, I didn't do that. What happened was I turned to go to bed, to go back to my bed, because I was in my room, by the way. I forgot to mention that one little topic. I was in my room. I put the charger in my room, and I was turning to go back to the bed. And then my dad proceeds to slam the door back open. Why? I don't know. And I just didn't want to deal with him, so I turned around and I pushed him. And he fell over in the doorway. Like, he kind of stiffened up and fell over. And then he started screaming, crying about how he was going to die and how he couldn't breathe and whatever. Then my sister started screaming, my mom started screaming, and everybody was just screaming. And then I went back to sit in my bed. And I was afraid for myself. I'm like, man, my parents are going to twist this around to make it look like I just pushed him for no reason. And I'm going to go to jail. Like, the only person I was worried for was me, myself, and I, and no one else. And I'm sorry if that sounds heartless, but that's autism for you. You don't really have sympathy for other people, especially when they're the ones who just don't listen or understand things. So, yeah, my dad mentioned that. And I'm just like, I'm not even going to get into this situation. I don't even know how you're able to turn this around and make it about you. I have no idea how you were able to do that because... So then, I went on to argue that it was a traumatic experience for him and not for me. And that the only thing I was afraid of was going to jail. Because I knew that they weren't going to say that I snapped. They weren't going to say that I was provoked to anger. They weren't going to mention that I was half asleep and it was late at night. They weren't going to mention all that. They're just going to be like, oh, she pushed me. And then handcuffs on, I'm in jail. And the more I think about that moment, you know, when I push them and stuff, and how they twist it and make it about they're the victims, I mean, I get it. Look, okay, so people, I just want to let you know, I am not stupid. For one thing, I am not stupid. I know well enough not to push someone. I know that pushing someone is bad. Because sometimes they could fall into something, or they could fall onto something and hurt themselves, or the push itself could cause some kind of thing, and I know that. I'm well aware of that. But for me, I think that I might have snapped. I think that I was really mad. And I just felt like I was being provoked. Because the thing was, I had tried to in the way that I had done it, it wasn't the right way. And I knew that in the moment. I knew you don't slam the door in people's faces. But I just knew that gently closing the door really wasn't going to help. Because the thing is, it doesn't matter what emotion I'm feeling. I still have the ability to think clearly. I always think clearly no matter what emotion I'm feeling. And my therapist has been helping me with that. And I thank her for that so much. Because she's helped me to learn how to think more clearly than I used to. And I'm really glad for that. My parents just don't see that. Anyways, so it doesn't matter what emotion I'm feeling. I always think clearly. And in that moment, I was thinking very clearly. I knew what to do and what not to do. I knew that I shouldn't have done that. I knew that I should have walked away. I knew that I shouldn't have slammed the door. But in that moment, my father was not... I mean, I know that I was wrong. I'm able to admit that I was wrong. I'm happy to admit that I was wrong. I know that I did things back then, like those on November 9th that I wasn't proud of. I know that. But my father thinks that he did everything right. He thinks that he was able to come up here and then accuse me of doing things and then say that because I'm young that I can't feel a certain way and that I'm not allowed to feel stressful and things like that. Like, I'm just like, I'm not going to stand here and let you talk to me like that. But I didn't just push him for no reason. I didn't just walk up to him and then push him. If I'd done that, send me to jail, put me in handcuffs and send me to jail for the rest of my life. But I was trying to walk away. I did everything I could to walk away from the situation. Slamming the door, I know I shouldn't have done that. But I was angry. It was the middle of the night. I'd just been woken up. I didn't want to be woken up. I knew it was going to take me forever to go back to sleep because it usually always does. It always takes me forever to go back to sleep and I hate that. So that's why I slammed the door. I mean, I'm pretty sure if it were him, if it were the other way around and he pushed me, it would have been a whole different story. Considering our genders, because I'm a girl, he's not. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think gender really has much to do with the law. I mean, it kind of does when you think about it, but yeah. And yeah. So then, when I mentioned the other incident of the whole restraint thing, which I said I wasn't going to get into earlier, but I guess I'm going to have to now. I'm just going to hold back any form of tears that's going to come up from this. So basically what happened was I hit someone, the person, they kind of like just pushed me over, then they slammed me to the ground, and they held me like that, put me on a stretcher, put Benadryl in me, put me in the quiet room, things like that. I don't like to talk about it too much, because I feel like I can't talk about it without crying. Like, only in a few instances have I talked about it without crying. And it's horrible for that to happen to someone. Like, I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. And I don't have a lot of enemies, but if I were to have one, I wouldn't wish for them to be restrained like that. Because I feel like the act of that and doing that, it breaks you as a person. It makes you feel like less of a human. I remember as they were holding me down, I felt like so much less of a human. And I hated that. I hated feeling that way. And I kept telling myself that I'm not going to let this break me. But it has over the past 3 years since it happened, so. And I don't know, like my senses were like really heightened then. And everyone, and the thing was, the staff members and my parents, they thought it was a result of the meds that I was on during the time when I was in that mental ward. And they thought that that's what caused my anger, but I don't know. I mean, I was 17. I'm pretty sure teenagers can be impulsive at times. I knew hitting was wrong, and I knew that, I don't know, I just feel like the way that they had been punishing me during that time was just the wrong way. And what they did as a result of me hitting them was just, I don't know, I feel like it was wrong. No, I know it was wrong. I mean, I don't think like the last thing an angry person wants is to be touched. And especially in that way. Like, angry people don't want to be touched at all. In any way, whether it's good, bad, violent, whatever, they don't want to be touched at all. So to do that, it's just, I feel like that makes it worse. And I feel like, I don't know, I had this out of the box thinking of like, I don't know, I just had this feeling that it's wrong. That, it's just not right. And everybody else is just saying the opposite, that it's right, they were trying to keep you safe, they were trying to do this, do that, but I didn't feel safe at all. And I don't think anyone else would have felt safe looking at me and seeing me on the ground, screaming my eyes out and screaming my head off, just. So then as I was talking about it with Amy, I started to cry. And she said, there's no reason to cry. It's okay. There's no reason to cry. And I'm just thinking to myself, are you kidding? I mean, I expected it. Because usually when I tell people what happened, I always expect it to happen. I expect people to say that I'm not supposed to cry and that it's not a real traumatic event because they had, like, college stuff behind them and that they were doing it because it was their job. And no one realizes how much that hurts. No one realizes that the things they say like that really offends me and hurts my feelings. Because it takes a lot to offend me, and that's it right there. When you say that I have no reason to cry of something that hurt me based off of the situation and the things that happened before, it just makes me feel like crap. And I don't want to feel like that. I don't think anyone should ever feel that way. So, yeah. I'm trying to think of what else to talk about. So, yeah, we talked about that. And then after that, we kind of kept talking. And then my dad was like, he kept saying that, like, this one is so stupid. It makes me so freaking angry. He said that I was, like, provoked in quotes. Like, he didn't, like, use the quotes, but, like, the way that he was, like, the tone of his voice made it sound like he was using it in quotes. But, like, he said that it was what I perceive as being provoked. And my definition. But the thing was, it wasn't my definition. It was the definition of what is being provoked. Because he kept yelling, he kept trying to come after me, trying to get me to understand things when I just didn't want to at the time. And every single time something like that has happened, where I just don't want to talk and I don't want to be around people and I just need to cool off. You're trying to, like, come in and try to get me to understand. And you're like, oh, don't be violent, don't do this, don't do that. Okay, guys, I'm, like, getting, like, really, really mad right now. Like, it is just, like, So, like, when people tell me, like, when people try to calm me down, when calming me down is gonna, okay, wait, I'm gonna try to, like, word this correctly. Like, when I need space and you're not giving me space and I go away and I remove myself from the situation, but you keep trying to come and trying to, like, reason with me or whatever, that doesn't help me at all. And, like, it just stimulates even more and more and more and more anger. And then it's kind of like an overflowing bucket. And then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until I can't take it anymore. And then I try to remove myself. And then when they block the door, then you're asking for it. You're literally asking for it when you do that. And I know parents out there who hear this aren't gonna, like, they're not going to understand it from my perspective, and that's okay, but I don't see why when a person is angry, coming up to them is okay. Unless they've done something that gives you reason to come up to them. Like, if they've thrown something and they probably hurt themselves or broke something as a result of that, then you should go up to them by any means. By all means, go ahead and do it. But if someone is angry and they're not doing anything violent, they're just sitting there and being angry and they don't want to be around you and they don't want you getting into their head and drilling into their head and they don't want to hear what you have to say, you need to give them some space. Give them some space. Give them space. It doesn't matter how old they are. Just give them space. Just let them just be. Don't try to keep talking to them about it and trying to get them to reason, because it's not going to get into their heads at that moment. You have to, like, give them space, cool off. And when my parents don't do that, they get surprised when I get violent and I want them to leave. Like, I remember this one time, my mom was trying to, like, she was trying to reason with me. And mind you, I was in a residential facility at this time. And she was trying to get me to reason with her. And I didn't want to hear it. So I got up and I tried, like, mind you, I was in my room and she was trying to get me to reason with her. I didn't want to hear it. So I got up and I headed towards the door. She blocked it. She literally blocked it. Like, she stood in front of the door. I hate it when she does that. She always does those things where, like, she'll block the door and make sure that I don't walk out of the door. Like, mind you, the door is, like, the only way that I can get out. The only way. So for me, it was horrible. It was really difficult. I didn't want to be around. I didn't want to hear what she had to say. And I grabbed the doorknob and tried to open the door, and she pressed her body, her fat, whale-behind body, against the door. And she's a lot heavier than me, so it really hurt my feelings that she wouldn't let me get the space that I needed. I wanted to, like, go outside or go in the bathroom or go somewhere away from her. And then I didn't even do anything. She put her fist up in defense. But when we discussed this with the therapist afterwards, she was like, I was trying to defend myself. I was trying to do this. I was trying to do that. But I'm just like, no, you weren't trying to do that at all. Like, every single time I try to mention something, she kind of twists it in a way to make it look like I'm the bad guy. And I'm the only person who can do the bad thing. Which is really, really, really annoying. It's just, like, I wish I could show you how she was doing it. Like, I'm going to probably film this over a video or something and show you exactly how she was holding up her fists. But she was holding up her fists. So then I started hitting her. She grabbed me, did all these things. We got into this little altercation or whatever. She called 911. And they sent me back to the residential facility. And I am just so sick and tired of being treated like the bad guy every time I'm in this house. See, I can't even call it my house because it's not. The thing is, it's only my house and it's convenient. It's their house when I disrespect them or when I yell at them. And it's their things when I don't do the things that they want me to do. And then it's suddenly my house when they want me to clean my room and do things their way. Mind you, my room is actually not that dirty right now. It's actually pretty decent. But yeah, so yeah, I don't like that they do that. I don't like that they make me feel like crap every time I talk to them. And then another thing. This one's kind of small. I'm pretty sure most kids can relate to this because I've seen this in a lot of videos. But when your parents say we have food at home, but then you look in the fridge and there's like a lot of condiments and stuff, but nothing that can actually turn it into an actual food. Like, I actually made a video to show my, I made a video to show my therapist, just so she'll know exactly what's in the house for the most part. And I'm pretty sure it's not even the reason why, like, the reason why we don't have a lot of food isn't even because, like, my dad can't work because he can't walk too well. It's not even like that, because it was like, we didn't have a lot of food before all that happened. So, like, we're not even poor. We're a freaking middle class, okay? I'm privileged. I'm a spoiled, privileged girl. And, you know, I don't really... Like, my parents, they get on me when they get food that I don't like. Like, I remember, whenever I would get my tips, back when I was working, because I haven't been in my job in, like, forever. It's been, like, 2 weeks now. And I'm really suffering because I only have, like, $210 saved for the ukulele sorry, I can't talk. That I'm eventually going to get, but for the most part, I don't have any money. But when I used to go buy stuff from the corner store, I would get stuff that I knew that I liked. I would get, like, iced honey buns, you know, like the icing on top. I would get the normal jumbo honey buns. I would get orange soda. And then when my mom gets me food from that same corner store, she gets me freaking Fritos and then, like, coffee cake. And I'm like, I don't like this stuff. It's like she doesn't know what I like anymore. It's like, as a little kid, she'd give me whatever. And, like, she knew what I liked to an extent. She would only give me healthy food, though, which I hated. And that's kind of the reason why I started gearing more towards sugary foods and Chinese food and Wendy's and things like that. And everyone's always saying, oh, that's so much sodium, you're going to ruin your body, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, maybe if my mom gave me food that I actually liked that was healthy, I wouldn't be eating all that crap. But then she's like, oh, well, I paid for this food with my money. And then I'm like, okay, if it's your food, you eat it. Like, it's not your problem if I don't want to eat your food. She thinks that, though, but I don't think that at all. So another thing, trying to think of it. I wonder if I can dim the light of this phone, because it's really blinding me right now. Let me turn on the light. You can't even see the light, but I turned it on because the phone's hurting my eyes. Another thing, so I'm going to open up a little bit. I'm going to open up a lot. I have autism. I have high functioning autism, and I'm very high functioning, actually. I don't really think that I am, because a lot of times I think that anyone and everyone can see my autistic traits, but according to other people, I've been told that they can't tell that I have it, and that one person actually thought that I was lying and didn't believe me, but she had bipolar, so talking about you, Lindsay, with that pink hair. So yeah, I have autism. And one of the traits of having autism, like, the way that they described it on like, websites and stuff is failure to empathize. Like, failure to put yourself in other people's shoes. And for me, I feel like in certain situations, lack of empathy can be a good thing, but sometimes it can also be a bad thing. Like, when I wasn't crying at my grandmother's funeral, who'd been basically my best friend for, like, my whole life, it wasn't because I didn't care. I did care, I just didn't want to show that I did. Or maybe I couldn't, actually. And then after the whole incident with my dad, my parents were like, you should feel so traumatized, you should feel this, you should feel that. And then I'm just like, I don't. And then they call me immature when I say I don't. And I'm just like, okay. Like, I can't help it. I literally cannot help not feeling empathy. Like, it's not like I choose to feel what I feel empathy towards. It's just, I feel empathy towards what I feel empathy to. And if I don't, I don't. If I do, I do. I mean, my parents feel empathy towards a lot of things. And there are things they don't feel empathy towards that I don't call them out for. I'm not like, oh, you don't care that you don't like twisted birth or this or that. Like, they just think that all of my interests are stupid and that theirs are the only important ones because it's their house, which is just so annoying. And then there was another thing. Trying to think. About not feeling empathy. I'll get back to it. So it's there. I'm trying to remember what it is. I just don't like it when my parents think that I should feel. Oh, I remember. Okay. So another thing, my lack of feeling empathy is one of the reasons why I don't view myself as an African American. Like, I don't see myself as African. I don't see myself as American too much. I just see myself as a person living in a country. I do live in a country. That country is America. But I don't really view myself as an American because I don't always adhere to every part of the culture and stuff. So, yeah. So, for example, I am flat out not offended by the N-word. And I'm not afraid to say that. I'm not afraid to tell people that. I'm not afraid to say that, to, like, express that. I'm not offended by the N-word or black stereotypes. And my parents think that as a black person, I should be, because they think that if I see myself as black, I'm loving myself. But the thing is, I don't love myself because I'm black. I love myself because I have a heart. I love myself because of the things I like, the clothes I like to wear, the way I like to wear my hair, the instruments I like to play, the shows I like to watch. Those are the things that's why I love myself, not because of my skin color. Because I feel like skin color and hair color and hair texture are just simple as that. They're literally skin color and hair texture. It doesn't really do anything or change anything towards anyone. And I feel like in that same sense, that's also the reason why I'm very open-minded. I would like to say that I am. Because when I look at a person, I'm not going to see their race. Because I can't. I can't do it. I look at them as a person. I do see their facial features and their hair texture and the skin color, obviously, because I'm not blind. But it doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I will see the color of their skin, but it doesn't mean anything to me. Like, it just means they have skin. It doesn't mean anything past that. And then I don't think of what race they could be and what stereotypes could come with it. Because that just seems kind of dumb, and I don't see why a person should think that. So, yeah. I just feel like I kind of consider people as more like on a spectrum, like skin colors and hair texture and facial features. Like, I feel like we're all on, like, a spectrum as opposed to, like, different groups. And I feel like we kind of put ourselves in this little box to kind of separate ourselves from other people. Not just white people to, like, minorities, but, like, everyone to each other, I feel like. And then when we get together, it's my mom usually says, oh, I love it when people diversify. Like, it's something new. Like, it's a new fad or something. And I'm just like, I mean, I'm not going to be friends with people because they're black or because they're white or because they're Asian. I'm going to be friends with them based off of, like, their experiences in life, the things they like or dislike, things like that. That's why I'm going to be friends with them. You know, I'm not going to be friends with them based off of skin color. That's really freaking dumb. And I'm not going to like a person because of their skin color. I'm not going to hate a person because of their skin color. I'm going to like or hate them based off of what they do or don't like or what they agree with. For example, if anyone likes the book To All the Boys I Loved Before, I'm not going to care what skin color you are. I'm going to hate you because that book is terrible. I will get into that later in another video. If you like mint chocolate ice cream and I don't, if there's other stuff that you do like that I also like, I might be able to push past that. But if other stuff, like if we don't click, then I'm not going to be friends with you. But if we do, based off of the things we do and don't like, or things I could open up and learn to like, and things another person can open up and learn to like, then I'm going to like them, you know? I don't like skin color. I like the heart. So yeah, there's that. And then another thing that parents do is that, like, when I do something and I'm just foolish and stupid, but they do something and, you know, you have to it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, oh, cut me some slack. And I'm just like, you didn't cut me any slack when I did that same thing 2 days ago. Like, for example, my mom left her phone on the kitchen counter, which is just stupid. And I accidentally spilled some apple juice on it. Keyword, accidentally. So, she looks at me and gets all mad at me, and she's like, oh my god, Joelle, why did you spill your apple juice all over my phone? Yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it was an accident. I didn't mean to do it. Like, and then she was just, like, yelling at me like I was stupid, like I could never do anything right. Like, I kind of feel like that could have been met with some more compassion and been like, oh, it's okay, we all make mistakes. It's fine. You didn't know what you were doing. You didn't see the phone, you know? But no. So then when she spills apple juice on my phone and I yell at her the exact same way she did, she goes, oh, it was an accident, blah, blah, blah. Don't talk to me like that in my house, blah, blah. Like, she calls it disrespect. I put that in quotes, by the way. And I'm just like, you're kidding, right? Like, you're kidding, right? Tell me you're kidding. So, she's like, nope, I'm not kidding. And I'm just like, I don't get it. And then other times, when I even try to assert myself, they do everything they can to knock me down and make sure that I never do it again. And that's really, really irritating. I'm just like, I can never stand up for myself. I can never assert myself. I can never voice my needs or voice my concerns. I can never feel like I can never feel like I'm wanted in this house. I can never feel like my choices are being heard. My voice is being heard. And then they wonder why I'm so reserved and quiet when I'm out in public, because I'm afraid other people are like them and they're not going to want to hear what I have to say. And that really hurts my feelings. And like I said, it takes a lot for me to hurt I'm usually very laid back and I'm not really offended by a lot, but it does take a lot to hurt my feelings. Like, a lot. Like, if you say you can't do this because you're black, I'm like, whatever. Or you can't do this because you're a girl, I'm like, whatever. You can't do this because you have autism, whatever. But if you say you can't do this because you genuinely as a person just don't matter, then that hurts. Because I'm not a person because I'm black. I'm not a person because I'm a girl. I'm not a person because I'm autistic. I'm a person because I have a heart. If you say that I can't do something, if you say that I cannot do something because of me, not my blackness, or whatever that's supposed to be, I don't have that, I don't think. That is when you cross the line, and it really hurts. And usually I kind of react to that with sadness as opposed to anger and violence. And, you know, that's usually when it hurts. And I always hear it from my parents. And then I remember during the evaluation, we're back with Amy and the whole CMO worker thing. She asked them if their discipline tactics have gone right. And they nodded and said yes. And I laughed. Okay, I'm lying. I kind of might have scoffed and rolled my eyes a little bit. And I'm pretty sure they just kept looking forward and like, oh, she's being so mature. And, my parents are like, oh, like, our 3 daughters, because I have 2 younger sisters, they were like, our 3 daughters have different perspectives of what's right and what's wrong and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay. Because, like, I have a lot of, like, out-of-the-box thinking. I think that's one of the results of having autism is that I think differently than other people, and I question things more. I see the good in people a little more than other people do. I'm more open than other people are, and I kind of like see things differently. Like most people might view things the same way, but I kind of think of, like, I feel like the main characteristic of my out of the box thinking is like, but what if? Or like, you just have that feeling that things aren't right, like things that are happening just aren't right. I don't know how to describe it. It's like my sisters have kind of been, like, I would say, for lack of a better word, brainwashed into thinking my parents' discipline tactics are right. But I think, this doesn't really make me feel right when they do this to me. What if there's a better approach to this? And I'm pretty sure that if I were to tell them and show them, they'd be like, oh, we're doing it right, we're doing it fine. But I just keep thinking, look at how I turned out. And then when I say that, they're like, oh, that's a result of your choices, not mine. I was like, oh, I thought I wasn't my own person. I thought I was your child. And that I was the result of your decisions. I am. But, so, yeah. I really don't. Dang it, I think I'm losing my train of thought. I don't really like it when my parents say that I can't have out-of-the-box thinking. But that's the thing. I can't help it. Like, I literally cannot help it. I can't control thinking the way I do. I can't control processing things the way I do. I can't control feeling things I feel and initially feeling things when I feel them. Like, in terms of my emotions, like, whenever I'm excited about something, like, when I was younger, whenever I was excited, I would startle people. Like, because I was always just, like, screaming, happy, excited. And then my parents would kind of tell me not to do that and stuff like that. And then I kind of learned to, like, calm it down a little bit. But now I've come to realize that they've only tried to make me conform to things to make them feel comfortable. And so other people won't be afraid of me and things like that and won't think that I'm different or weird. But I'm just like, you're not really thinking about how hard that is for me to try to contain my excitement when I feel, like, giddy and happy, That's really hard when excitement... Sorry, I can't talk. When excitement is bubbling over me and it feels like it's about to explode out of my body, I'm not just going to sit there and be like, yay. I'm going to say it a little louder. I'm going to jump a little higher. I'm going to cheer a little, more excitedly. I'm not going to just sit there and be all cool, calm, and collected about it. Like, that's just not the kind of person that I am. And for the most part, I feel like I've pretty much matured. My parents would say otherwise, but I feel like I have, because I do think, like, I remember at 14 years old, I thought I had an adult perspective of things. Even at 7, because I remember when I was 7 years old, I thought I was too old for a babysitter, because I thought I could take care of myself. I really couldn't, though. I could barely braid my own hair, or feed myself, or dress myself. But, yeah. And now that I'm 20, I kind of have more of, like, a mature way of, like, handling things. My parents don't think so, but I think so. Like, I feel like it depends on the severity of the situation. Like, if they're yelling at me like my mom was before. Because, like, this thing happened, like, a couple hours ago when I was watching this TV show and I couldn't turn on the closed captions and I was eating food in the living room and I wasn't allowed to do that because apparently I'm not allowed to because they just lose trust. But they don't, like, my parents just say that, okay, I'm trying to get this together. I think my parents won't let me eat food in the living room because they don't trust me, but they say that it's because it's the rules. And I'm just like, so it's the rule not to trust me. And I'm just like, what is that even going to do? It's not even teaching me anything. So I was eating in there, and then I remember my mom had turned on the lights, and I didn't want the lights to be turned on because I was in the room watching TV by myself, and I wanted to be alone. And usually when it's nighttime, well, daytime too, but mostly nighttime, I like to watch TV with the lights off because then the TV's glowing and it's just, me and the TV and whatever, and I feel really content and stuff. So I turned the lights off again because I was watching it without the lights on because I don't like the feeling of the lights on. It's just really distracting for me when I'm watching television. So my mom comes back in. I hadn't known why she was turning the lights on, by the way. I just didn't know why. And she turned the lights back on. She was like, "Why did you turn the lights off? I I had to turn the lights back on. I was grading papers because she's a kindergarten teacher or something. I don't even know. And I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Like, you really expect me to just automatically know? And she's like, you didn't have to know. And I'm like, you're kidding, right? So then she just starts yelling at me, and it's just, like, really anger-inducing. And I'm just like, because, like, usually when I'm mad, I never lash out. I'm never violent. Like, I might break a couple things, mind you, objects, not people. But I don't really, go towards people. And when I do break something, I'm going to clean up. I'm going to clean up after it. I'm going to clean up after myself. I'm not even sure how to word that. I'll clean up. So, I put my chicken wings, like, I threw them out in the garbage, and I put I can't talk. I put the plate in the dishwasher, went upstairs, was really mad. I just didn't want to be around anyone, didn't want to think about anything. I just wanted to just be alone. And yeah, I did that. And I wasn't violent or anything. My parents, it's like, they think that I have no right to be mad, depending on the situation. They think that I can only be mad about stuff that's real to them and not stuff that's real to me. Like, things that are really important to me, I'm going to get mad if I can't have them. Like, they just don't get it. They don't get it. They don't understand. And sometimes I try to explain to them why I'm reacting in the way that I am in pure, clear English and understandable with the best words that I can use, and they still don't get it. And I'm just like, did I do something wrong? Like, what? I don't understand. What did I do? And they just don't get it. So, usually I just kind of I just stop talking to them. And I no longer open up to my parents anymore because I know that it's going to turn into an argument. People are going to start yelling. And they're going to just insist that they're right and I'm wrong. And I don't want them to do that, so I just avoid it altogether. Because that's what they want. They don't want me to talk to them. They don't want me to voice my concerns. They want me to be and feel as low as possible. Even though they say, oh, you're equal, you're part of this household, blah, blah, blah. And then they proceed to just not treat me like that. And they have all these excuses for, like, the reason why they treat me the way they do. And I'm like, I have a job, you don't pay me. I'm not paid to work here. And they're like, we pay you in clothes and blah, 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 and do this and do that. And I'm like, that's not the same thing. Like, I'm not subordinate. I'm not a person in a facility. I'm not working for you. I'm a child in a household. And yeah, I might refuse to do some work, in which case you could make it fun for me, because I just get lazy sometimes and I just don't want to do it. But I can understand that one. But in any other situation where, like, you think that I'm just your worker and your apprentice or whatever, that's not okay, because I'm not that. And you also chose to have this. I mean, they both chose to have me. It was their choice as to whether they wanted to have a child or not. I feel like child rearing is a choice and not a requirement. It's not that. It's not a requirement. And it's not a burden either. And when they say things like that, it kind of feels like I'm their burden. When they say, oh, I give you this, I give you that, I've taken care of you, done all that, and this is the thanks I get. And I'm just like, I don't owe you anything. I owe you nothing. So I guess I'm not getting that beach house in Florida then. That's all for me. I'm going to get myself 2 houses just for the heck of it, so I can have a place to vacation to. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. I'm not really sure if I got everything out the way that I did. I think I'm going to keep it unedited because, so you can, hear, my natural self. I was going to edit it, but it's 48 minutes worth of, sound. I'd rather not. So, I guess that's it. Comment, subscribe, and I'll catch back with you guys later. I'm not sure if I got everything out that I wanted to say, but I'm pretty sure that's most of it. And I'd really love to hear your feedback and things like that. And I'd really appreciate it. So, peace out.